Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा सा।
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot.
देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय। टंगी टंगी तवा में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singapore, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम वहीं लंबा सा में रहता है, तो क्या बताएं, हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है।
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम।
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
In this bulletin, Fiji's only locally owned bank opens for business. Prime Minister says NBF was used as a personal piggy bank, and landowners close off temple. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate, and this is FBC News. It's a proud moment for all Fijians as the country's newest and only locally owned bank was launched among much pomp and ceremony last night. HFC Bank, which will be competing in a very competitive banking market, is a joint venture between the Fiji National Provident Fund and the Unit Trust of Fiji. Eleanor Tarangaivu was at the launch last night.
HFC is now ready to commence operations as a bank.
10 days from now, HFC Bank will start full banking operations. The company promises to provide for the financial needs of every Fijian.
While some may argue that the banking sector is already well catered for, we believe that there is room for a local bank which will provide a critical local perspective. The expectation of the people of Fiji is that it will have more flexibility and understanding to accommodate their needs. Prime
Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says every Fijian will have a stake in this new bank.
They will not only be able to use the bank to get a return on their savings, but as a source of borrowing to invest in improving their lives and those of their families. They will also benefit from the profits that are plowed back into the National Superannuation Fund and the Trust Fund. When those profits stay in Fiji, everyone wins.
Bainimarama says as the People's Bank, the government expects HFC to focus on making home ownership more affordable for ordinary Fijians.
For too long, Fijians had to pay too high interest rates for home financing. Yes, while interest rates may be lower than usual at the moment, we need consistency. We need all stakeholders to realize that home ownership and construction grows an economy, creates jobs, and provides security for ordinary families.
The introduction of a new bank has been welcomed by the business community.
It's a positive step by HFC, and it's going to be useful to have another player in the market.
It's financially backed and strong, and I think if they do adopt technology to reach out to places where people don't have banking services, then they can quite quickly make a very big impact.
HFC was granted a full banking license in November last year. About 100 people will be employed when banking operations start. Eleanor Tarangaivu, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has warned the country not to vote for people who caused the biggest financial scandal in Fiji's history. As Eleanor Tarangaivu reports, when the NBF crashed in the mid-1990s, after years of gross mismanagement by authorities, it had a debt of $220 million, equaling 8% of Fiji's GDP.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says when established in 1977, our first national bank, the NBF, was supposed to bring about a new level of prosperity for Fiji and all Fijians.
Instead, a greedy elite, after the coups of 1987, used the People's Bank as their personal piggy bank. With their noses stuck firmly in the trough, this elite, aided of course by a grossly irresponsible management and board, credited the National Bank of Fiji for loans that many had no intention of repaying. They ripped off their fellow Fijians.
Bainimarama says past governments and the Reserve Bank are to be blamed for turning a blind eye to what was happening.
By the time the whole fiasco ended, 51% of the remnants of the NBF was sold off to foreign interests for what would be considered a pittance.
The Prime Minister says many of those that ripped off the country and its people now want a chance to create more mischief.
Now some of the same politicians and hangers-on who are responsible for this scandal and others who benefited personally are seeking your vote in the forthcoming general election. They are relying on you having short memories. They are treating you as if you are stupid. And I urge you to call their bluff and consign them to the political dustbin of history.
Bainimarama says the HFC Bank, which will open its doors next month, should never become like the NBF. He adds if his government continues to lead after the elections, he will ensure safe and strict operations in our financial institutions.
My government expects that the proper mechanisms are now in place to ensure that the Home Finance Company Bank meets the highest prudential requirements and the highest standards of good governance. We will have zero tolerance for anything else, and we will continue to insist on quality and stringent levels of performance. If the Fijian people, of course, give us the mandate, we are seeking to lead Fiji after the election.
The Prime Minister says under his leadership, a range of Fijian institutions such as Tourism Fiji and Investment Fiji are now operating at the highest levels and are symbols of national pride. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
A man appeared in the Suva Magistrates Court charged with murder, arson and damaging property. Shami Kapoor is alleged to have set the fire which killed 17-year-old Shanesh Kumar at his home in Wailes settlement in Vatuanga, Suva. The teenager was trapped in the house by the fire last Sunday morning. A car was also burned during the blaze. The suspect, Shami Kapoor, was apprehended in Vatuanga last night. Magistrate Chaitanya Lakshman referred the case to the High Court and remanded Kapoor to the 14th of March. Members of a Hindu community in Lautoka have been barred from entering their place of worship and are calling for authorities to help them. Landowners have prevented the community in Saweni from going to their temple for the last 2 months. Christopher Chand reports.
This is the Shri Vishnu Temple, a holy and peaceful place that Hindus here in Saweni regularly visited to pray. They haven't been able to do so for quite some time now.
Our temple at the moment is closed by the landowner. It's been closed from the 9th of January till date, and we have liaised with the landowner as well, but he is not doing any favors to her, trying to open. Maybe 2 or 3 times we visited him, but nothing is happening. So after that I have reported this matter to the police.
Gounder says their access to their place of worship was suddenly put to a stop by the landowner. The matter was reported to the police. He was advised that the issue has been taken up to the district officer. However, no solution has been found till now.
But he didn't ask anything. He just closed it and he came and told me and my secretary and my trustee was there. He just told us that the temple is closed from now. Do not enter the premises.
It's become a sensitive issue. The landowner Apimeleki Nasalo lives near the temple but was not at home when FBC News visited. Lautoka District Officer Ruth Atu says work is being done to solve the problem.
I am requesting the government of the day to please, if they can come forward and help us in opening our temple.
The committee pays an annual land rental fee to Nasalo for the land which this temple has been sitting on for over 20 years. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
A man in his late 20s was convicted of the rape of an 8-year-old girl by the Suva High Court this afternoon. The court heard that the sexual assault occurred after the accused lured the victim to a grassy area on the pretext of picking guavas. She was in Class 2 at that time. It's alleged the child was threatened by the accused and told not to report the matter to anyone, but she told her mother, who called the police. The court was told the victim contracted a sexually transmitted infection after the incident, and the accused admitted raping the girl but denied threatening her. Sentencing will follow mitigation on Monday. A distraught father is demanding answers from the health ministry after his son was mistreated at the Nausori Health Centre last week. Niaz Mohammed says due to the carelessness of the doctors, his son fell down the concrete drain at the Nausori Health Centre which resulted in injuries to his face, lips, forehead and left eye. Mohammed says the doctors did not attend to his son properly. Syed Mohammed was suffering from dengue fever and was barely able to walk at the time. Mohammed says the doctors even did not allow his relatives to go inside the hospital.
Nobody bothered to take him outside or neither to call him, to call anybody to take the patient outside. And while he was on the doorstep going out of the hospital, he fell on the concrete drain and he damaged his face, lips, forehead, nose, and he had a big gash on his forehead.
Divisional Medical Officer Central Dr. Dave Whippy says the matter is currently under investigation and the staff concerned have been told to submit a written report. He says the report will be available by next Tuesday and will then be sent to the Ministry of Health. Coming up, property prices skyrocket.
Gonga elambasa Bula FM number 2 na sere. Ndo talita kana borong en Bula FM number 2 na sere su.
Kau buat itu geraki au rebot juga nistima au ndo talita kana borong en Bula.
Kalau bina Fiji Bula FM number 2 singa toka.
Bula bina era roga Bula FM number 2 tikonga.
Bula FM number 2 na sere.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has called on the people of Tailevu to support him in the general elections. Mika Longa reports Bainimarama made the call when opening a new cell block at Dawasamu High School in Tailevu.
The outgoing military commander told those in attendance at Dawasamu High School today to leave the past and rally behind him in support of the vision for a better Fiji for all.
I urge you all to embrace the vision of the new Fiji that I am offering. Every Fijian working together to put Fiji first.
Bainimarama warned the people of Tailevu to be wary of veteran politicians whom he says are not concerned about the needs and aspirations of the common person.
I want to say something to the people of Tailevu about that election and the choice that everyone has before them. Do not look backwards and allow yourselves to be swayed by the same forces who have held our country back, who have manipulated ordinary people and spread division and discord.
The Prime Minister reminded parents, teachers and students to make use of all opportunities offered to them by his government to improve and develop education in the country.
Education is no longer a privilege in Fiji, as it used to be before my government assumed office. Education is now a right enshrined in the new 2013 Constitution, along with a range of other rights like access to health and access to clean water. These are now rights that cannot be taken away, no matter who is in power, as is the right of the Itauke not to have their land converted to freehold and sold off, as happened with previous governments.
Just 8 days left to him stepping down as military commander. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has told the people of Dawasamu not to judge him by his words, but to judge him by his actions and what he has done. He's also promised the students of Dawasamu High School that his promises on education are all true. Nikolonga, FBC News.
There's an increasing demand in the real estate market as people are buying more properties than in previous years. This is due to the increased development, low bank interest rates and more confidence in the economy. Akosita Tale reports.
The real estate market has now become a seller's market compared to the buyer's market a few years ago. There is a huge demand for properties from individuals, the business community and even foreign investors.
They can afford to buy properties because they can get the loan from the various banks. And if you know that there's a lot of recent banks coming up like Bread Bank and now HFC, and people now have a bargain. They can bargain for the better interest rate, better bank rates.
Due to the demand, the price of properties has now increased. Lautoka's Inglewood Realtor says most prices have increased about twice as they were a few years ago.
In Western area,
You're looking at normal residential 3-bedroom houses now starting from 100,000. If you compare the same properties, you were lucky to get it for 60-70,000 initially starting, but it's quite hard getting anything less than 100,000 now.
Due to the increase in buyers, a real estate agent says there are fewer properties now, especially in areas near the city. The board says people have to change their mindsets and look for alternatives.
Residential subdivision coming up in Wela, in Valley Levu area, Khalsa Road, Nasinu side. I think the people have to change their mindset a bit. If they want a better price, better deal, they should also look outside Suva city. If you see now the roadings has been done, like even Nasinu to Suva is basically 10-15 minutes drive.
People have been advised to be smart when buying properties and spend within their budget. Akusita Talei, FBC News.
Classes at the USP School of Journalism in Suva have been disrupted by the sudden departure of Dr. Ian Webber. Dr. Webber, confirmed as coordinator of the school, is understood to have tendered his resignation. Classes were to begin on Monday, but since Dr. Webber's departure, no lessons have been held. There are also no teaching assistants for journalism classes. Students have been told the dean of the school, Dr. Akanisi Kenreate, will meet with them on Monday. FBC News attempted to speak with Dr. Akanisi today, but with no success. The government is in the process of identifying individuals who over the years lost their savings through local microfinancing institutions. The Mbaini Marama government says this happened during the reign of the SVT government. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports.
More than 9,200 savers fell victim to unscrupulous dealings by those who were running microfinance operations.
Namely, Microfinance West, which includes Kandavu and Nako Ilava, Microfinance Cooperative Central Eastern, Microfinance Lambasa, and the microfinance in Tikina Vuya in Bua.
Sayad Kayum says the anomalies were discovered after initial queries by the Reserve Bank of Fiji and an audit by the Auditor General's Office and the Trade Ministry.
The reason why Ministry of Industry and Trade got involved was because NextMed, or National Centre for Small and Micro Enterprise Development, used to, for a number of years, give grants to these microfinance institutions. But unfortunately, notwithstanding those grants being given to those MFIs, these institutions weren't managed properly. The bookkeeping was atrocious.
Teams from the ministry will identify victims who were cheated out of their money. It's hoped they will be reimbursed by April this year. The reimbursement wasn't budgeted for, but will come from government savings. New laws are also being drafted to prevent such incidents in the future. Busita Kote Wasawasa, FBC News.
The Suva High Court has dismissed a stay order application by the Fiji Rugby Union in the case of sponsorship involving mobile service provider Digicel Fiji. This means the case will now proceed with hearings scheduled for Tuesday. Digicel took the FRU to court after the sporting body sealed a sponsorship deal of $40 million with a consortium led by Vodafone Fiji. Digicel says they should be given the sponsorship because they have matched the offer. Justice Kamal Kumar has ruled the case should proceed. A Tongan national has been ordered by the Suva Magistrates Court to be remanded over the weekend. Tupo Falepono is charged with making off without payment. It's alleged Falepono absconded without paying the accommodation fee after staying at the Southern Cross Hotel in Suva for over a month. Magistrate Lakshman remanded Falepono after the man she was staying with at the hotel could not communicate in English to the court. The man needed a Tongan interpreter to tell the court his side of the story. Falepono will reappear in court on Monday. Friday Sports now, and Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, after the break, we take a look at measures Ben Ryan is taking to secure the future of Fiji Sevens and Fiji Warriors side announced today. This and more after the break.
Today FM is #1 here in Singatoka.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Suva.
Loto kasi di love Today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back to FBC Sports. An 18-year-old from Nandrunga will have to wait for just 2 more weeks to find out if he becomes the youngest player ever to break into the Fiji national sevens team. Meanwhile, Coach Ben Ryan is looking to create similar opportunities for other young and gifted players to ease their transition from age grade to senior level rugby. Sale Ndadakadaka with the story.
St. John College 7th former Waisean Daroko's inclusion in the 21-member training squad is all part of Ben Ryan's plans to inject young blood into the national squad.
You know, one of my plans going forward is to give these young kids experience of training under me and with the other sevens boys, so that when they come through the system and come through our under-20s and our sevens programs, you know, it's none of it's new to them. They understand what the expectations are to be professional.
The Nandrunga colt from Stallion Country impressed Ryan at a local sevens tournament in Ovalau. He can slot in at either halfback or playmaker.
He's obviously talented. Lots of things I think he will have learnt this week about what's required to be a professional and top-end international. But it's been great for his development, and I'm sure we'll see him again during the season.
Meanwhile, Ryan is off to another scouting exercise in the Asawes this weekend, where eager youngsters like Ndaroko will surely be putting their best foot forward to earn a call-up to try out for the national jersey. Chalendo Kavak, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the Fiji Warriors 30-member squad has been finalized. Now it's a matter of getting Fiji's youngest Warriors ready for a successful defense of the Pacific Rugby Cup title. Elena McDonald reports the coaches have selected an interesting mix of players and are excited about the team's potential.
The willingness to learn is what's gotten these players the nod to wear the Fiji Warriors jumper this year.
Next thing is that they fit well into the game plan that we've mapped out. And lastly, just morely on their game fitness. We have to see that they are fit to go injury-free and all those things for the tournament that we'll be having.
Several under-20 reps made the final cut, an indication that coaches are serious about molding them for Flying Fijians' duties.
It's a big stepping stone for them, and it will be a big challenge to the young Fijians who are coming up and knowing that they'll be assessed on their capabilities, not on their age. As long as they can deliver, as long as they can play the oval ball, they are welcome on board.
The Warriors' PRC campaign begins with having to overcome their 3 pool opponents.
That's okay. They're young enough to handle that kind of pressure. 3 or 4 days recovery per game is ample time.
They'll face a Reds A outfit before taking on a Development Force A team, then a Junior Japan side before even considering the final. The Warriors squad started off with 100 members. It's now come down to this final 30 and 2 new coaches to prove themselves worthy by successfully defending the PRC title. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Correction Services Inter-Unit Sevens tournament was revived today after a lapse of 6 years as a means to select the best players for major tournaments this year. The competition was held at Albert Park in Suva. A host of current and former national reps featured for their respective units. Teams were representing the various corrections facilities from Corvo, Namboro, Nasinu, as well as the West. 11 awards are up for grabs in tonight's 2013 Fiji Sports Awards. And like every year, the highlight of the evening will be which 2 athletes will reign supreme as Fiji's Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year. The stage is set at the Vodafone Arena in Laucala Bay. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama will be chief guest at the event, while Fiji Rugby League Sportsman of the Year nominee Petero Dibonideva will be guest speaker. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Amalgamated Telecom Holdings has declared an interim dividend of 3 cents per share or $12.6 million. This is for 6 months operations ending 30th September last year, during which time the company made $19.6 million in profit. The payment to 1,696 shareholders will be made on March 21st. ATH will close its share register on March 13th for the purposes of the interim dividend payment. Guess you were right today, Jen. It rained after all.
know this sounds funny, but thank goodness this is probably one of the few times that I'm glad it rained, Jackie. At least it's the right report this time. So I guess I'm friends again with the good people at the Met Office. Jokes aside, we can see clouds and thunderstorms scattered all over the map, which is fine with me because I didn't plan on going anywhere tonight. The highest temperature dropped from 34 to 32 degrees at 4 p.m. today. We've got Suva, Ba and Nandi with the highest. Mombasa is the lowest on 30. No changes tomorrow. It's another wet day, especially in the afternoon. Just a bit of sunshine in the morning for our western centers. Mariners' easterly winds will be at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be moderate. And now for the last photo of the week, and it's off the Vunisea jetty in Kandavu. You enjoy your weekend, rain or shine, and we'll meet up again on Monday.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. Our main stories again. Fiji's only locally owned bank opens for business. Prime Minister says NBF was used as a personal piggy bank and landowners close off temple. On to the poll question for this week, we're asking, is there a need to review bank and finance sector fees and charges? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's FBC News for tonight. Be sure to join Amrita Priyadashni from tomorrow with the weekend news. I'll be back again on Monday. Until then, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Nimo Damanda.
Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Waltoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nen.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about Bottle Cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.